Okay, so warm-up is, what is a mutation? So describe what a mutation is, and then give an example. We have talked about mutations in class. So just give an example of a mutation. So you got about 2 minutes to write it down. Write down a definition, give an example. Okay, and after that you're going to work with your partner, your face partner, and you're going to talk about the different mutations that y'all come up with. So just put in your words, what do you think a mutation is? And then give an example of a mutation. Okay, you got about a minute left. Now remember, you're going to be describing this to your partner. All right, stop. Okay, now what you're going to do is you're going to work with your face partner and collaborate. Come up with a good definition for a mutation, okay, and then talk about the 2 examples y'all get. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to collaborate. When we're done, I'm going to call on people randomly, and you're going to share your answer with the class. Okay, you got 2 minutes.
Like a child is born with an X or one eye. Because I saw an African child that only had one eye. It was scary. I didn't even know
All right, you got about a minute left. Make sure you come up with a good definition for a mutation. We're going to share it with the class.
Okay, our final should be mutation is when an organism, let me say first mutation is when an organism either has too many or
Okay, stop.
too little.
Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to call on random people. And what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a good definition for a mutation. Okay, and then we're going to talk about certain examples. And then also, not just examples, we're going to talk about if they're natural or if they're man-made. Okay? All right, so as far as mutation goes, what is your definition of a mutation? Yeah, what'd y'all come up with for mutation?
Mutation is how the body grows in color. Like for example, like our body's shaped.
Okay, very good. So something dealing with the body.
I put it's like a transformation because like a frog, it's a tadpole and then it mutates into a frog.
Okay, that's not really the definition of a mutation. That's more just how that frog develops.
When an organism has too many or not enough chromosomes.
Okay, so dealing with chromosomes, meaning something is wrong with the chromosomes. All right, we learned that chromosomes are made up of what? DNA. Okay, so that means that somehow that DNA got mixed up. Okay, very good. Anybody want to add to it?
When something goes wrong in the development of the organism.
Okay, very good. So when something goes wrong in the development of an organism, that's a great example. So maybe, I'll tell you what, I want everybody to write that down. When something goes wrong in the development of an organism. Okay, you got to understand though, are all mutations bad? No, some are actually extremely helpful. And we're going to talk about it here in the notes. We're talking about finches. Okay? In the Galapagos Islands, you'll notice how finches, they're all the same species, but over time their beaks mutated. Okay, and those beaks mutated so that depending on what type of food is on that island, okay, their beaks would turn, so say if there were a lot of rodents, okay, their beaks would be like a curved beak, kind of like a parrot, so they can rip at flesh. Okay?
When you say it can be addicting, like when somebody has a disorder and they can be really good at one thing, is that what you mean?
Not necessarily. Like a good mutation would be, say a woodpecker. Everybody knows that woodpeckers, they peck at wood to get the worms.
Yeah.
Okay, well they have short beaks. But say there was a mutation to where one of those woodpeckers had a longer beak. Well, guess what? If he has a longer beak, he's able to drill deeper into the tree, and then that opens up more worms for him to eat because he can go deeper into the tree. That would be a good mutation. Okay? And eventually mutations can actually lead to adaptations. Okay? Humans, for instance, back before we started drinking milk, okay, humans are actually lactose intolerant. Meaning if you drink milk, okay, that's a mutation. Okay, because before we started drinking milk from animals, our body could not digest that milk. Okay, we'd be very sick. Over time, our body kind of became immune to it, to where we could actually break that lactose down. So that would be an example of a good mutation. Because what does milk do? It makes our bones stronger. Okay? All right, so give me some examples. I'm going to kind of go to each table. Just give me an example of a mutation.
It was like different for me from that because I used to be able to drink milk, and now when I drink it, my stomach starts hurting and all that, and I feel like I'm going to throw up.
I want to get that checked out.
One time I saw a child with only one eye.
Okay, so one eye. Now, that's probably not a mutation. That's probably maybe an accident occurred or something like that. What would be examples of mutations? What would be an example? Sarah had a good one. A very common one.
When a person has Down syndrome, the 13th chromosome is missing.
Okay, very good. So Down syndrome. That's a mutation. That means the chromosomes somehow got mixed up. And I'm not going to say normal compared to Down syndrome, but somehow those chromosomes got mixed up and it shied away from the norm. Okay? Anybody have any other examples?
She said a parrot.
A parrot?
No, parrot.
Okay, very good. So like hybrids. Okay, the most common hybrid is a mule, right? Okay, it's where you take a female horse and a male donkey. Okay? Now that is a mutation, okay, but that's not a natural mutation. Okay, that's kind of a man-made thing. Okay, we kind of put a female horse in with a donkey and they mate. Another example would be a liger. Okay, lions and tigers don't live in the same ecosystem. So it would never occur naturally. Lions live in savannas, tigers live in the jungle, right? So they never see each other in the wild. But if you bring them into an enclosed habitat, they can mate and make a new type of cat. It's called a liger. And you're going to see examples of that on the board. Okay? All right, so we're going to talk about weird genetics, okay, or how mutations work. Okay, just write these. These are going to go on the first page available in your journal, like 76, 77. Now these notes you need to get the slides, but there's also going to be, there's a lot of examples of mutations. Okay? Now when we're talking about mutations, we really divide it into two categories. You have natural, and then you have mutations that were kind of developed by man. We're going to show examples of each. Okay, mutations. So the definition for mutation is a change in genetic information. Okay, that's all a mutation is. Somehow that genetic information is being changed. Okay, you also need to know that it can occur randomly, meaning in nature. Or it can be deliberately caused in a laboratory by scientists. So like the hybrids, that would be something that is caused in the laboratory. Okay, lions and tigers don't live in the same ecosystem. So man was involved with that. Humans were involved with that. Okay, you need to know that it's inherited. So meaning it comes from our parents, it's inherited. And then you also need to know that it's not always harmful. Okay, it can be helpful at times. Yes, it can be harmful also.
So like two sharks, like the great white and like the tiger shark, they can make a different type of shark.
Okay, there's different types of mutation. If you look at the top right, it just kind of shows how mutations can occur. Okay, these are chromosomes. All right, and then you have the alleles, which are the markers that determine our traits. Okay, you can have deletion, where basically a few alleles are just taken out of the chromosome. Okay, you can have duplication. So say if you have AB here, it duplicates and makes another AB where it's really not supposed to. Okay, you can have inversion. So you take that AB here and you just flip it over to where it would be BA. All right, which causes a mutation. Okay, you have insertion, where basically you take a chromosome and add it to another one. And then you have translocation. Okay, these are all types. You're not going to see it on the test, but I just wanted to show you how everything works. And like I said, these are chromosomes. All right, and these are the alleles that determine the traits that we've been talking about with Punnett squares. Okay, we're going to talk about natural mutations. So these are mutations that occur naturally, meaning there's no human involvement, they just occur. Okay, a very common one is albinos. Okay, albinos have little or no pigmentation in the eyes, skin, and hair. What it does is it inherits an altered copy of a gene that does not work correctly.
Can you write this down?
Okay, that altered gene that it inherits from its parents, it does not allow the body to make melanin. And what melanin does is a pigment that gives us our skin color. Okay, you got to understand, true albinos have pink eyes and skin. Okay, now this mutation in the wild is extremely harmful. Think about this. If you're a predator, say a tiger in the jungle. Okay, jungle's very green, right? Well, what do cats do to catch their prey? They stalk it and they pounce it. Well, guess what? If you're a big white tiger in a very green jungle, well, that prey is going to see you from a mile away. Okay, so they're able to run away. Now, that's harmful because guess what? That tiger has to work extremely hard to catch its food. Okay, on the other hand, if you're a prey, okay, in the jungle or in any ecosystem, okay, well, guess what? If you're in an ecosystem that's brown and green and all these other colors, and you're bright white, guess who can see you? All the predators. Okay, so you have to work extra hard to hide from predators. Okay, so albinoism, it's extremely harmful. And remember when I told you we're talking about humans compared to plants and animals? Humans, we kind of take care of our own. So albinos and humans, not really harmful because no matter what, we're going to take care of our own. Kind of like Down syndrome. and we talked about that, if animals have a mutation, a lot of times the parents just leave them. They just kind of walk away from them. Okay? So remember, albinos, they definitely have to have pink eyes. It's like the main trait. Of course, we know their skin is very pale. They definitely will have pink eyes. Once you get this down, I'm going to show you examples of albino in animals and plants. Okay? And then you're going to see a few examples of other mutations that occur naturally. Yes.
And I saw in the World Record book there's this family that was out there albino.
Really?
There was
So it was
like
inherited?
6 of them.
All right, raise your hand if you need more time. Okay, so here's some example of albino animals. You see the peacock here. Now you can't really see the eyes, but the eyes is a true tell sign of an albino. Okay, you have the squirrel, harmful because squirrels are trying to hide from predation. Well, guess what? He's solid white. He's going to be very easy to spot. Okay, you have the gorilla here, and you notice the skin color is very pink. Okay, he's got the white fur, but his skin color is very pink. All right, then the frog here, definitely you can tell the pale skin, and then of course the sign of pink eyes. All right. Okay, not only in animals, it can also occur in plants. All right, so you have white bluebonnets. This is a mutation. Bluebonnets are supposed to be blue. Okay, you can also have pink bluebonnets. Okay, now these are other mutations that occur naturally. Getting away from albinos, but just talking about just natural mutations. Okay, now here you have this calf that has 2 heads. Okay, what causes this is in the womb, if say there were an egg got fertilized, but by two sperm. Okay. Well, what normally happens is those eggs, once that zygote is formed, it'll split and make 2, and that's how you get twins, right? Okay. What happens is in the uterus, it doesn't actually split all the way. Okay. It splits a certain amount. That's why you have 2 heads, but it doesn't split the whole way. That's a mutation. All right. Turtle, got 2-headed turtle, extremely harmful because turtles, what happens when they're scared? What do? They hide in the shell, but guess what? If you have 2 heads, that's not much room to hide 2 heads, right? Okay. Then you see the rat here. Rats have fur, and guess what? This one doesn't. Okay. Now the frog here just has an extra set of hind legs. Not really harmful, doesn't really hurt it that much, but it is a mutation. Okay, you notice here the fish, the snake. This could be harmful because snakes slither on the ground. Well, guess what? There's a lot of sticks and things like that on the ground, and their head could actually get stuck in between the sticks. Okay, okay, you see the 2-headed dog, another calf right there. All right, fish, the cat here, you notice it has 2 bodies, 8 appendages, but only 1 head. Okay, so these are all just natural mutations. They just occur naturally. They're inherited. Okay, the buck here with the antlers sticking in the middle, and then the chicken with 4 wings. All right. Yes.
My grandpa shot a deer, and one horn was going under its chin, and one was going over its head.
Yep. Okay, human intervention. So this is when humans get involved with genetics. And you're going to notice as we talk about this, a lot of this is pretty common, especially the first one we talk about. Selective breeding. Okay, and not only in animals, but also plants. It's a selection of certain seeds or animals for reproduction in order to influence the traits inherited by the next generation. Selective breeding. All right, raise your hand and tell me what's a very common animal that uses selective breeding. Okay, mules, horses. So you mix a horse with a donkey, or a female horse with a male donkey. The reason why is back in the old days when they had tractors, okay, they had to use farm animals to plow the fields. Well, horses were big animals, but they weren't real strong. They weren't very durable. Okay, donkeys, on the other hand, were small but extremely strong. So what they did was they would mate the two, and then guess what? You get an animal that's decent size, but has the strength of that donkey. Okay? So that's why they made that hybrid. It's a mule. Okay? The only bad thing about mules is they're sterile. They can't mate. They can't reproduce. So you always, to get another mule, you always have to have a female horse and a male donkey. Okay? What's another type of animal that uses selective breeding? Dogs. Okay? Back when I was growing up, it was, you had a lab, you had ladies like poodles, stuff like that. Well, now what they have done is they're creating all these different breeds. A Labradoodle, okay? A Chiweenie. Okay, so what they're doing is they're taking different breeds of dogs to make these new hybrid dogs, okay? So say you want a medium-sized dog, well, you can take a big dog and a little dog, mate them, and you have a new breed. That's selective breeding. Okay, real big in the cattle industry too.
Are Pomeranians selective breeding?
Yeah, it's a breed by itself. Okay, in the cattle industry right now, since technology is getting better, so and Coach Burt knows a lot about this because his family does all this. But if you have a good pen of bulls, okay, like the big strong bulls, all the muscles. Well, guess what? You sell your cow basically by the pound. Okay, so you want the biggest, strongest bulls there are to mate with your cows, so that the calves that you have are going to have all those genetics. So what a lot of ranchers are doing now is instead of going and buying all these big bulls, what they'll do is they actually buy semen from these other ranchers that have all these big, strong bulls. And it's a lucrative business. I mean, there's some ranchers now making tons of money doing this. That would be selective breeding. You see it in horse racing. All the fast horses, guess what? They sell their semen to all these other ranchers that have horses. Okay? So that they get all those good genetics. It's a purebred. All right, that would be selective breeding. Okay, selective breeding, you don't have to write this down, but these are just examples. So you have the liger, which we talked about earlier. It's a hybrid. It's a cross between a lion and a tiger. Okay, and the reason why it's man has been involved, because like I told you earlier, they don't see each other in the ecosystem. Okay, so you actually have to go get a lion and a tiger and put it in the same area for it to mate. Okay, now if you notice, on their hind legs, they're about 12 foot tall. Okay, this ceiling is about 9 foot. So it's 3 feet above that. Okay, and then they average about 1,000 pounds. That's a big cat. Okay, you have the camel, which is a mix between a camel and a llama. All right, these are just examples. You have the zebroid, you have the zonkey, where they just take horses and mix them with other animals. Okay, you have the geek, which is a mixture between a goat and a sheep. All right, and then you have the mule, which is the most common one. Okay. Some other ones would be beefalo, okay, where they cross cows with buffalo, and that's kind of getting popular now because people are trying to eat healthy or stuff like that. Well, buffalo is very lean meat, not much fat. So what they do is they take that meat from the buffalo and the cow, and with selective breeding, they make a beefalo. Okay? Okay, on the plant side, you have maroon and red bluebonnets. Okay? Now, a funny story about this that kind of relates it is about 10 years ago, there were some Aggies that decided they wanted to play a prank on University of Texas. Okay? And this is, I would vote this the best prank ever. Okay? First off, bluebonnets are the state flower, right? Mm-hmm. So can you cut it? Are you supposed to mow over bluebonnets?
No.
No, you're not. So what these Aggies did was they designed a way to change the genetics to turn those bluebonnets to maroon bluebonnets. Okay? And then what they did, they went and spread the seeds out on University of Texas campus. So every spring, guess what pops up? Maroon bluebonnets on the University of Texas campus. The only downfall is, guess what they can't do to them? They cannot mow them. Okay, so pretty good prank, pretty smart actually. Okay, you have genetic engineering. So that was selective breeding. That was just kind of taking two different types of animals and having them breed. Okay, genetic engineering is more in a laboratory. Okay, where they take DNA out of one animal and then will inject it into another animal. Okay, or they'll take DNA out of one plant, inject it into another plant. So you have selective breeding, which is human involvement. This one here is more like scientific involvement. It's all done in a laboratory. Yes. Okay, it's a technique of removing, modifying, or adding genes to a DNA molecule in order to change the information it contains. And I'm going to show you examples of it. You're going to be pretty surprised at some of this stuff.
Even removing bluebonnet tape on the bird.
Well, bluebonnet is basically a weed. But they just grow, you know, the climate has to be just right. That's why you see them. You see a lot of them in the hill country, springtime. They go dormant. Meaning dormant is basically the same thing as animals hibernating. It just deals with plants. They go dormant. Kind of like pecan trees, or your deciduous trees. That's why they lose their leaves. They go dormant. All right, raise your hand if you need more time. Okay. What I'm going to do after this, I'm going to show you examples of genetic engineering. And then we're done with that take your quiz. Okay, so the first one here, now we're getting away from animals because we tend to, every time we talk about things, we always want to kind of go towards animals because we're human. Okay, but in plants. All right, so these farmers were noticing that their corn was kind of, the leaves are kind of a yellowish color. Well, that yellowish color was attracting a lot of bugs. Okay, so what those bugs were doing, they were eating the leaves, and in turn, it's taking money out of the pocket of the farmers. Okay, so this farmer got with a scientist, okay, who got some DNA from another type of plant that would turn the leaves a brighter green color. Okay, if you look at these are actually planted side by side in the same field. If you notice, the plant that wasn't mutated in the lab, you notice how the bugs kind of ate the leaves? Okay, they kind of destroyed the plant. And then right next to it, this is the one that was genetically enhanced. If you notice, the bugs don't even touch this one. Okay, so you see how, now most of the time, when we're talking about genetics and stuff, if a scientist gets involved, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be for the better of that organism. Okay, so this one definitely is good for it. Okay, you have a guy here. He was a genetic researcher called Alba. Designed this rabbit for an artist. Okay, and what they did was, you know, jellyfish. If you ever see jellyfish in the sea, especially real deep in the sea where there's no light, what do? They glow, right? They kind of glow. They have this neon glow to them. So what scientists did, this artist wanted a rabbit that would glow in the dark. Okay, now you got to understand, you got to be pretty rich to do this. I mean, this takes a lot of money. Okay, so what they did, the scientists actually pulled DNA out of jellyfish, okay, and then changed the DNA of this rabbit. Now the rabbit in normal light looks normal, okay, but under a black light or something like that, he glows green. Okay, so just kind of showing you how you can change the genetics, pull genes out of one animal or organism, put it into another one and completely change it. Okay. All right, any questions on genetics? Hopefully today you kind of see how they occur naturally, and then they also occur from human intervention. All right. Okay, what I want you to do, go back to your warm-up, and now that you've been shown some examples of mutations, I want you to give me one man-made mutation, and then one that occurs naturally. Okay, you got 2 minutes. Yes.